Welcome to the MindGrowRadio Storyteller Series podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Kathan, and today we are taking a deep dive conversation into the topic of acceptance, worthiness, and removing money blocks with women's empowerment coach and transformational speaker, Catherine Clift. And I met Catherine at an International Speaker Network event, and her story just touched me, and I knew I wanted to bring her in, and I'm so glad that she agreed. So please help me welcome to the MindGrowRadio studio, Catherine Clift. Welcome.
Thank you.
So great to have you here. One of the things that you shared a little bit with me in our conversation is you've had an amazing journey, a transformational journey, and you had like a health diagnosis that kind of shifted things up for you. And my first question was going to be, what inspired you to take the path that you're on? But I want to go even deeper than that. What inspired you to do the work that you do, helping women shift mindsets and go from that place of feeling maybe not worthy to a place where they feel accepting of themselves and loving of themselves?
Mm-hmm. Well, I basically discovered this very powerful, very simple process called letting go, or the release technique, the Sedona method. And I'm a very spiritual person. I really do a lot of research. In fact, I think it was in the early 2000s that I was getting information from Nightingale Conant on personal growth information, and they sent the Course in Miracles. And when I got the Course in Miracles, I was kind of like, well, this is the key to happiness. I don't need anything else. So I happened to be going to a non-denominational church at the time because I was alienated from the Catholic Church due to a pastor. And they were having a program called the Abundance Course back in 2005. This was in January. Well, my wonderful mind told me, abundance, well, that's very materialistic. You're spiritual. You don't want to go to that. So I listened to that wonderful mind of mine and I didn't go. But you know, Stephanie, the universe had other ideas. There happened to be a snowstorm that particular Sunday, so they basically postponed the program. It was in 2 parts. I missed the first part, but I was curious enough to go to the second part. And when I realized what this was and what the power of it was, I was kicking myself for missing the first part. And I'm telling you, the more, as I say, when you let go, miracles just start flowing. And that's exactly what happened to me. I mean, miracles started happening in my life almost immediately. I can't even tell you, I have so many testimonials on that. But it was interesting because, I happened to go to a retreat, an advanced retreat on the Sedona method, or letting go. And that's when I asked one of the participants, what exactly did they do? And they told me they were a life coach. Well, I had never heard of that before. And I sort of asked them, I said, what in the heck's name is a life coach? Well, they described it to me, and I knew they were describing my dream job. So, and basically, I think after I came back from the retreat, there was a person that was affiliated with a facilitator of this, and she was offering a coaching program on the law of attraction, and I was very interested in that, got certified in that, and then I also got certified in hypnotherapy, which I found very fascinating. But really, the core, what I'm really passionate about, is just the letting go process. It is so simple, and it is so transforming. I just want to share it with anybody that's open to it.
I love that. I love that. So when you received your health diagnosis, and I don't know how much you want to share, and you're welcome to share as little or as much as you want about that, but were you able to apply this method to what you were going through, and that's what helped you to do what you're doing right?
Well, in this sense, yes. I mean, I was diagnosed. I have alopecia areata. My people say alopecia areata. What is that? It's like it's an autoimmune disease. There's no, there's no cure. They don't know what causes it. It doesn't discriminate. It hits men, women, babies. You know it. But it's like, I know women have a real thing about appearance, and it's like it starts out very slowly. Basically, little bald spots that kind of spread. Then they may come back in, and another part falls out. Well, by the time I was 50, I was completely bald. And I struggled accepting myself back at that time. I mean, I needed approval. That was a big thing of mine. I
Mm.
really needed approval, and I couldn't approve. It's like I had a hard time approving of myself. And I thought, well, surely my mother would approve of me no matter what. Well, this was the biggest shock of my life. She took one look at me and she said, "Oh, for God's sake, Catherine, get a wig." Talk about devastating and humiliating. Your own mother can't accept you. Well, how can you accept you? So, yeah. So I did. I got a wig and I really kind of hated them. They didn't fit right. They kept falling off at the wrong times. And I can have funny stories about that. But it was really the letting go and the Sedona method that really changed all that, because one of the exercises that we did was called the mirror exercise, where you're supposed to look in the mirror and basically love the image that you see looking back at you. Well, this was one of the most challenging things that I had ever done, because when I looked at myself in the mirror, I saw this alien person looking back at me that I didn't even recognize as me. I mean, I loathed the image that was looking back at me. But I thought, I kind of started with the eyes, and I continued just to give it love and approval and letting go. And like I said, an amazing thing happened, and it didn't happen overnight. But over a few years, I got to a point where I just loved that image looking back at me. And it was in 2019 when I went to the advanced retreat for the Sedona method in Sedona, Arizona. We was doing some really getting very, very deep with the letting go. And it, for some reason, it just gave me the courage just to stand up and and I basically just took off the wig and I declared as boldly as I could, "Bald is beautiful." And I got a standing
Love it.
ovation. And I basically did that in my talk that I did in that same year, 2019. We have something here locally called Walk the Talk, which is our local version of a TED Talk. And once again, when I kind of shared my story about how I overcame, learning to love and accept myself through letting go, again, I got a standing ovation when I took off my wig. There was probably 300 people in the audience. It, um, so yeah, I mean, Stephanie, without this process, I mean, it helped me let go of a marriage of 23 years that was both emotionally abusive and unsupportive. And it helped me let go of a job in a call center for 25 years that got so stressful that I basically developed shingles in my last month that I was there. And I'm telling you, I mean, it was like these were two things I didn't think I could let go of, because these were my security blankets. I thought I needed
Right.
this job, I needed this husband. It's like, but the more I held on, the more miserable I became. So I finally took the leap of faith and I let go. And I'm telling you, an absolute amazing thing happened. It's like I discovered life coaching, as I said, my dream job. I never probably would have found it if I hadn't let go. And I discovered that I had enough money to live on for the rest of my life, which I never would have found out if I hadn't let go of my husband, my then husband. So, and miracles just continue to happen. So I can't, it's like, this is just
I
amazing.
love this story. And what I'm feeling and hearing is not only did your process that you're using allow you to let go, but it really helped you lean in and embody this new version of you.
That's
And
absolutely correct.
I love that because we could all use some more of that. And what you were saying about your mom not accepting you.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I've had family members not being accepting of me. I have a sister, a half
Mm-hmm.
sister. She lets me know that she doesn't want me to tell people that she's my sister.
Oh, wow.
And so I feel like we all have some sort of family stuff where there's not accepting of who we are. Do you
Right.
have a tip that you want to share about, like, how were you able to let go of other people's opinions of you?
Well, it's kind of an ongoing process. I wouldn't say that I've done that completely because it's like I really love it when people, people. In fact, one thing you will learn in this process that there's three basic needs we have as humans. One is wanting approval, the second is wanting control, and the third is wanting safety. So it's like, and they kind of combine, it's like when you want approval, you're basically wanting safety. At least that was the case. So it's like, I, I hungered for approval. So when
Mm,
somebody, rejected me or criticized me, that was like being cut with a knife almost. And that's really, really difficult. That is difficult, but slowly but surely, I'm getting to a point where, like one of my mentors said, it's like what you think of me is none of my business.
yes, yes, I love that. And I say that frequently to myself because, well, I have my own family stuff going on, as I mentioned, but small town life, I live in a very small town in Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of judgy individuals surrounding in that live around. And especially now in our social climate, the way that it is, judgments are just flowing full force out there in the world. And I feel like one of the biggest judgments that we deal with is that we are not enough. We're not
Exactly.
enough in some
Mm-hmm.
way. They're telling us we're either not pretty enough, or we're not smart enough, or we don't have enough money, or we'll never make it on our own, or they try to convince us of all the ways that we are not enough to be
Right.
successful.
In fact, one of my mentors, and I love this. This is something I could put on a post-it note. It's like, just tell yourself, you are whole, complete, and perfect just as you are. You are not broken.
Mm,
You don't need to do anything else. So it's like you are whole, complete, and perfect just as you are.
I love that. And that is a truth that if you focus on it for a minute, when you first hear it, if you're not feeling that you are, it might sound like a lie. But if you just allow yourself to say that more than once to yourself, it starts to sink in. And that's a
It
really,
does.
really powerful statement.
Yeah, and like I said, with the Sedona method, it's like you learn that it's like you're not this body, you're not this mind, you are an unlimited being. And
Mm,
whether you're a Christian, is such, how people believe that, I'm both human and divine. It's that divine part that you truly are, that's unlimited, that you can say that and believe it 100%.
I love it. Catherine, one of the things that you help women with is removing money blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And can you just share a little bit about what that means?
Well, for example, women grow up with the idea that, it's like we can't we should be, it's like you want to be seen and not heard. And it's like women, girls are told, don't stand up for yourself, play small, it's dangerous to be confident, that kind of a thing. So when women start their own business, they have a real problem basically charging what they're worth, because they think, well, I can't possibly charge that. And it all goes back to, again, childhood. What did your parents believe about money? What did you see? What did you see? Did your parents fight over money? Because that's one thing that says, if your parents fought over money, that basically tells your subconscious that money is a bad thing, and you want to push it away from you as much as you can. That's why a lot of women in business self-sabotage, because they may get very successful in the beginning, but then that little program says, oh, but I have to be loyal, I have to be loyal to my parents or whatever. I can't make that kind of money. Because again, there's basically two major programs that we have. One is the loyalty program to our parents, and basically it's a survival thing. In other words, as small children, we need to survive, and we have coping mechanisms. So being loyal to our parents is one of our coping mechanisms, saying, I need to stay in the tribe. I need to be loyal to my parents so that I can survive. The other program is, I don't want to be anything like my parents. I want to go out and be my own person. And that's, of course, how we spread genes around in the gene pool. But that's called boom and bust. So we go out, we be successful, and then the loyalty program kicks in and says, oh, wait a minute, my parents never had that kind of success. My parents never had that kind of money. So subconsciously, you're going to sabotage yourself. And so many people, and like I said, men, women, it doesn't matter, but I would say 90% of the planet or more have these money blocks and don't know it, because it's all very subconscious. And unless you're asking for a raise or starting your own business, you're not going to see it, because in a regular job, somebody else is controlling the purse strings, so you're not aware of you don't know that you have these programs, right?
Yeah, I know when I first started back in 2012, and I launched my first coaching program. I remember well-meaning friends. They weren't meaning to harm me, but they were like, you're never going to get somebody to pay you that much.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? What are you saying? And, because you expect to have the full support of your circle.
Mm-hmm.
But when your circle is telling you, no, you're not worth that.
Right. And a lot of women look at the industry, like, if you're in a certain industry, what are they charging? And that may not be, what
Right.
you want to charge.
So do you have some tips, tools, or strategies that you'd like to share from your own personal growth toolbox to help the listeners who might be struggling with either the feelings of worthiness or self-acceptance and self-love, or maybe discovering right now in this moment, hey, I might have some money blocks of my own?
Okay. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't I do a simple letting go process with you, so that you can understand what it is and really recognize, just how simple it is. Would that be okay with you?
Oh, yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
So, Stephanie, what I'd like you to do is share with me something that is bothering you, that you would like to feel better about, or doesn't give you any peace.
Something that is bothering me, what has been bothering me is back in August, I was hit by a truck while I was walking. Well, it was an SUV. And my business came to a screeching halt. I was on a healing journey for 4 months. I thought I was literally going to die. And I had it happened while I was doing innkeeping duties at this Vermont inn that I was working at part-time.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided to let me go during my healing. So they replaced me. So I had to come back and jump in with both feet to go full on my business, because the impact of the accident made it so that I wasn't able to do the physical functions that I had been able to do before. And I had all of this resentment and stuff, which I still have a little bit of, and that's been bothering me.
Okay.
So I would like
All
to get rid
right.
of that.
So basically then the feeling is resentment. Am I correct on that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And as you get in touch with that feeling, does that feeling give you what you want?
No.
Does it bring you peace?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to put your hand over your heart, and could you welcome that feeling? Just allow it to be there.
Yes, I'm imagining like an acquaintance at the door where you
That's
like previously I would have just slammed the door in his face, and now
that's fine. Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is that feeling? With 10 being the most intense, 1 being the least intense. Where would you be on that scale, Stephanie?
probably about a 7.
Okay. All right. Then let me ask you this. Would you allow that feeling to soften and relax and dissolve?
I would be open to that.
Okay. And would you allow that feeling to soften and relax so that you could be more free?
Yes.
And when would you be open to allowing that feeling to soften and relax so that you could be more free?
Right now.
Good. And do you now let that feeling go just for now?
It feels like relief.
Okay.
It feels like, I mean, let the softness of it is already, it's like there was a burning,
Mm-hmm.
like you swallowed coal or something, just kind of burning you from the inside. And now I don't feel that.
Great. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you be with that feeling?
I would say right now the feeling is maybe barely vibrating, like barely registerable.
Isn't that amazing? So, could you just right now just rest as that, just as rest in the peace that you're feeling right now?
That is amazing.
Mm-hmm. What did we just work? What, 5 minutes maybe? Mm,
That is so powerful.
it is.
And it really comes down to deciding, right? Like deciding that you're willing to be open,
That
deciding
is
that you're
correct.
willing to look at
Yes.
things in a different perspective.
Yes, it's just a decision. And when I ask people if they could say yes or no, some people can even say no, and you can still let go. It depends. I mean, I can't force anybody to let go. It is their decision. If they want to hold on, that is perfectly fine. But
I
I'm
like so
telling you, the more you let go of any feeling, and even the happy feelings, the happier you become, and you just get into this state where nothing bothers you.
that is truly amazing and powerful. And that we all have this ability um within us to do this is
Mm-hmm.
really
Yeah. I mean, children do it effortlessly. I mean, you take two children that are playing, and one may accidentally step on their foot or something, and the kid comes screaming and saying, "I'm never going to play with you again," and 10 minutes later, th're playing like nothing happened. Wouldn't that be wonderful if adults could do that? There would be such peace in the world.
it would be. So are those your dogs that I hear? I love
Yeah,
dogs.
yes, I had to put him. I had to put him in a room because he barks at delivery trucks and everything else. He's an
Well,
Australian Shepherd. He's very reactive.
Well, we're always glad to have some canine energy here on the show. So your dog is a welcome guest here in the
Well,
studio.
he'd be jumping all over me if I let him out.
Catherine, where can people go to learn more about you and what you do and
They
what
can
you
go to my
offer?
website. It's catherinecliftcoaching.com. And you're going to see my 12-minute talk on there as well. And you can sign up for, I offer complimentary sessions to see if you'd be a good fit to work together. I would love to hear from anybody who's interested. Like I said, Stephanie, this is my passion. I mean, if I had not found this process, I'd be a basket case today with the pandemic, the stress, the anxiety, everything that's going on in the world. This is keeping me sane. Mm-hmm.
Well, it definitely has an effect on your energy, because when we connected at the International Speaker Network, I could tell your energy. I resonated with your energy. And anybody who knows me knows I am all about that. And so I knew that there was going to be a mind-growing conversation here. And I'm so, so glad that you joined us today. Listeners, this has been an amazing ride. And if you haven't tuned into Catherine's wisdom before today, I really encourage you to go to her website. Catherine, do you have any, let's round out with, what is the best piece of advice that you could give to somebody listening who might be struggling with a whole bunch of stuff that they are holding on to inside?
It's difficult. I mean, even I have difficulty with the inner critic, I'm telling you, but just, basically accept where you are. In other words, acceptance is the key, because resistance is what causes suffering. So if you don't like something, you're in resistance. So for example, if the day is not going well for you, just say, oh, gee, it's like, what, just look at it and maybe just send love to it or whatever. But it's like the more we love, the more we like loving the mind, love that wonderful mind, and the mind will go quiet, believe it or not. If you hear that inner critic and just quietly say to yourself, I love you, believe it or not, the mind will go quiet.
I love it. I love it. We have been joined today by women's empowerment coach Catherine Clift. She was so generous as to lead us through a little mini letting go session. She also has resources on her website. If you go to Catherine Clift, CLIFT coaching.com, her link will also be put in the description of this interview. And I recommend that you tune into her every chance you get, because she is amazing and you will want to tune into her energy.
And also follow me on LinkedIn, because I'm going to be starting posting on LinkedIn again. So follow me on LinkedIn.
All right. I will definitely. We're already connected there, but I will absolutely share that in the comments too, in the description, your LinkedIn profile.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us today. It's been such a mind-growing conversation with Catherine here in the Mind Grow studio. I am your host, Stephanie Kathan, and this episode of the Mind Grow Radio Storyteller Series has been brought to you by the Vibe Tuner Shop at Etsy, where you can find all sorts of stuff to help you tune your vibe and get your feelings back to where you want it. I hope that you join us for the next episode. And until we meet again, keep shining in your brilliance. Thank you so much to Catherine Clift for joining us today. And we will see you on the other side.